Hello, hello, hello. Hello, welcome to Belinda's Book Nook. I'm Belinda, and I'm bringing some women's history books, options. I had struggled. I really like to try to pull from my shelf. And I wasn't sure if I just wanted to do women, like historical, like women, this woman achieved this, or this woman did that. Because we're all important. So I included books that aren't necessarily historical, but people that I think that are important to know, maybe authors that are women. So I'm broadening the requirements so that I can include the books that I put here. First book I'm going to start with, can't stop always talking about it. I've always recommended it. It moved me and still moves me today. And that's The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks by Rebecca Skloot. A lot of people have heard about it. I hate when people say, oh, everybody's heard about it, because then when I don't, I feel bad. So I won't say that people have all heard about it. But just like the blurb says here, is really a good way to capture it. It says, doctors took her cells without asking. It was a black woman. These cells never died, and they launched a medical revolution in a multi-million-dollar industry. More than 20 years later, her children found out, and their lives were never the same. There's so much in the book. Issues of race, and privacy issues, and the fact that, this woman lived and died in poverty. Her family still lives in poverty today, and yet the cells that they took from her without her consent and understanding have created a multi-million-dollar industry that we all are benefiting from today. So it's an important medical book too, like to look in terms of medicine, so people will find that interesting. And the story is heartbreaking. It's just heartbreaking. It's just a good book to read. And there's so many things that have gone on in the past and in the present, particularly with minority communities, poor minority communities, with regards to the medical profession too. So this is my first recommendation. I'm going to go fast because I have a lot, but that's definitely one I always do. This one I have not read. Like I said, I pull off my shelf, which is like going to a bookstore. I have not read anything by Roxane Gay, but this is Hunger, and it's her memoir of my body, it says. And it says in here, an intimate and searing novel, the New York Times bestselling author Roxane Gay addresses the experience of living in a body that she calls wildly undisciplined. She casts an insightful and critical eye over her childhood, teens, and 20s, including the devastating act of violence that was a turning point in her young life, and brings reader into the present and the realities, pains, and joys of her daily life. Sounds really good. She's an amazing writer, I've heard. I'm hoping that I feel the same way too. So this would be somebody that I would like to read during Women's History Month. The next one, okay, I'm reading one of them for Black History Month, but I have two books, and I wanted to recommend it as a book, as a person that is just kind of when you hear about people in the past and how, what their history is and what happened to them, and it makes you feel even more compelled to read the book. This book is called Quicksand by Nella Larson. It was originally published, I think, in 1924. I could be pulling this number out of my head from something else. What is really crazy about it is that, does this one say? The main character in this book is Helga Crane, and they believe that this is her depiction of her alter ego, Nella Larson. And it looks at issues of colorism, and brown and black people come in all different shades, but how the world responds to them is not the same. And she talks about this through this book. And the sad thing about this, this is 1928, it was first published, not 24, is that she published only two books, this and a book called Passing. And she was originally a nurse before she did that. She ended up going back to nursing and becoming a recluse, and dying, in obscurity. There was also some rumors around on her second novel of plagiarism, that similar to some other book, but it did come out that it wasn't, that was just coincidental. Some of the things were similar, but I think she just couldn't handle that, compounded with her life's history and dealing with society and people in general. So it's interesting. And she had her family, I think her mother remarried. Her father, I think, died, and I think she, if I'm correct, she remarried. Her mother was white, a white gentleman, had a white child, and they never really grew up together, her and the girl, but they knew of each other. But in the end, and this isn't in the book, this is just about her bio, she approached her sister a couple of years before she passed, and her sister wouldn't, she said that her sister wouldn't accept her. When she died, she left her her inheritance to her sister, and her sister said she never knew she had a sister. So it's really just sad, but a book, I think, and a person that I want to shine a light on, because I never heard of her, and you probably won't, because it's not. So here's the other book, so that is called Quicksand and Passing. So it's got both of them in it, and Passing was in 1929, and then after that, she went back to nursing until her death. So that is a good one to check out. This one, I don't even want to tell you how long this one is, but I've had. It's called The History of Black Women in America, A Shining Thread of Hope, by Darlene Clark Hine and Kathleen Thompson. And I'm going to look in here so I can shame myself. Wait. 1998. I probably bought this in 1998, and we could see from the spine, it has never been cracked. This would be a great one. History of Black Women in America. Why haven't I read it? I don't know. Maybe it's the small writing or the large amount of pages. I don't know. Anyway, I would like to read this. It chronicles the lives of Black women, from indentured servants in the early American colonies to the cruelty of antebellum plantations, from the reign of lynch law in the Jim Crow South to the triumphs of the Civil Rights era. And it illustrates how the story of Black women in America is as much a tale of courage and hope as it is of history and of struggle. It sounds good, right? And it sounds like I should have read it. Again, it's like a bookstore in my house. So there's that. This one I had gotten on a bargain. I didn't pay that price, too. I think I paid $2 for this at Savers. It's Mom and Me and Mom by Maya Angelou. Everybody knows who Maya Angelou is. I'm going to say that because almost everybody knows who Maya Angelou is, a famous poet who's since passed. But this is her writing about her, and I believe her relationship with her mom, right? So she says that she dramatized her years reconciling with the mother she preferred to simply call Lady, revealing the profound moments that shifted the balance of love and respect between them. So that's a great one. This would be a good one for Mother's Day too, right? So there's that. Never read anything by this woman, and I really would like to. Gloria Naylor, okay? I've got a couple of her books. This is the first one I want to read, is The Woman in Brewster's Place, because I remember seeing the TV show, that when they had the special on with it. So this is one I would like to read. And this one is, oh God, this is really old too. I think that 1982 was the first publishing, okay? This one, I think, is another one I got, at a job I had. It was a free ARC to read of a book, and it's called The Seventh Child, A Lucky Life by Freddie Mae Baxter. Look at her. Look at her. And then look at her picture, even her picture that came with it. So it says, told with the irrepressible warmth and humor of a natural-born storyteller, The Seventh Child is the chronicle of a remarkable woman's life and of 3 generations of an African-American family. The seventh of 8 children, Freddie Mae Baxter was born in 1923 in rural South Carolina. When her father left the family, her mother had to raise the children alone, and Freddie Mae went to work, first picking cotton, then cooking for the white families in town. At 17, she decided to go up north and search for new horizons and a better life. Now an astonishing original voice, Freddie Mae shares with us the wisdom of her 75 years and some vivid memories from her childhood in the South, and to her life in Harlem, where she played saxophone in an all-girl band, and danced at the hot clubs. Through good times and bad and enormous changes in her life the enormous changes she's lived through, Freddie Mae has remained steadfastly optimistic and emotionally generous. This sounds just great. It just sounds good. You're going to learn a lot, but it's going to be told in such a fashion that it's really an enjoyable read. So this one was published. What did I say this one was published? Again, look in the bookstore, my bookstore. It should be called Belinda's Bookstore instead of Belinda's Book Nook. 1999. So there's that one. Another one I have, Jennifer Bazille, The Black Girl Next Door, a memoir. This one is a kind of a coming of age of a black girl in an exclusively white suburb in post-civil rights California in the 70s and 80s. And I can't wait to dive into this one. This one sounds really, really good. And again, I like when it's told like this because it gives you insight rather than like a history book that tells you this happened, this one, and this. You'll get the context through the story, and that sticks with me a lot better. The last one I have is Jamaica Kincaid, who is another author I really love. I've read several books by her. This is the autobiography of my mother. And it says, piecing together a portrait of a woman she had never seen. She imagined her mother meeting her father. She imagines her life and her feelings. She imagined her part of a dying race and looks for herself within the picture in the most lush and enigmatic of Jamaica Kincaid's novels. It says, my mother died at the moment I was born, and so for my whole life there was nothing standing between myself and eternity. At my back was always a bleak black wind. So this, I'm a little sad probably and dark, but an interesting look on an author that I've read. So I would like to give this a shot. And I've had this forever. And if you look at the pages, they are so yellow. It is published in, oh my God, it doesn't even say the date. 1997. So we got some goodies, oldies but goodies here. So these are the books I have for Women's History Month. Hopefully we'll get a chance to read some and I can come back and share some of my insight with it. Let me know what you're reading or any suggestions you have, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye.